Good afternoon. This is All India Radio and I am Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says development of new cities and modernization of existing ones, two most important aspects of urban development. India to host one of the largest G20 foreign ministers meet under its presidency in New Delhi. G20 meeting of Anti-Corruption Working Group begins in Gurugram. India says multilateral action required more than bilateral coordination for timely disposal of cases. 36 killed and several injured in a head-on train collision near Athens in Greece. And in cricket, Indian batting collapses and Australian spinning on day one of the third test at Indore. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today said that well-planned cities are going to be the need of the hour in the fast-paced environment of India in the 21st century. He was sharing his remarks at a post-budget webinar on urban planning, development and sanitation. He said urban planning will determine the fate of the country's cities in Amrit Kal. He underlined that the development of new cities and the modernization of services in the existing cities are the two main aspects of urban development.
अब 21वीं सदी में जिस तरह भारत तेज गति से विकास कर रहा है, आने वाले समय में अनेकों नए शहर ये भारत की अनिवार्यता होने वाली है। ऐसे में भारत में अर्बन डेवलपमेंट के दो प्रमुख पक्ष हैं, नए शहरों का विकास और पुराने शहरों में पुरानी व्यवस्थाओं का आधुनिकीकरण। इसी विजन को सामने रखते हुए हमारी सरकार ने हर बजट में अर्बन डेवलपमेंट को बहुत महत्व दिया है।
Mr. Modi reiterated that poor planning of cities and lack of proper implementation can create huge challenges in the development journey of India. He stressed the need to work in a very focused way in areas of spatial planning, transport planning and urban infrastructure.
हमारी सरकार ने कई शहरों में मेट्रो रेल पर काम किया है। आज हम मेट्रो नेटवर्क के मामले में कई देशों से आगे निकल चुके हैं। अब जरूरत है इस नेटवर्क को मजबूत करने की और फास्ट और लास्ट माइल कनेक्टिविटी उपलब्ध कराने की, और इसके लिए जरूरी है एफिशिएंट ट्रांसपोर्ट प्लानिंग की। शहरों में सड़कों का चौड़ीकरण हो, ग्रीन मोबिलिटी हो, एलिवेटेड रोड्स हो।
The Prime Minister also underlined that transport planning is an important pillar of the development of cities and the mobility of the cities should be uninterrupted. The Prime Minister noted that thousands of tons of municipal waste, including battery waste, electrical waste, automobile waste, tires and waste used for making compost are generated in the country every day.
आज वेस्ट की प्रोसेसिंग करके इन कूड़े के पहाड़ों से भी शहरों को मुक्त करने का काम किया जा रहा है। इसमें कई इंडस्ट्रीज के लिए रिसाइकलिंग और सर्कुलरिटी के ढेर सारे अवसर हैं। इस क्षेत्र में कई स्टार्टअप काफी अच्छा काम भी कर रहे हैं। हमें इन्हें सपोर्ट करने की जरूरत है। इंडस्ट्री को वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट के पूरे पोटेंशियल को इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए।
G20 Foreign Ministers meeting under India's G20 presidency will formally begin from tomorrow. This will be the second ministerial meeting held under India's presidency. Briefing media about the meeting in New Delhi, Foreign Secretary Vinay Quatra informed that 40 delegations are expected to participate in the meeting at Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Centre. He added that 30 international organizations will participate in the meeting.
It is one of the largest gathering of the foreign ministers hosted by any G20 presidency. The theme of India's G20 presidency, as has been enunciated repeatedly, is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. For India, the G20 presidency also marks the beginning of Amrit Kal, which will lead to the centenary of our independence towards a futuristic, prosperous, inclusive and developed society with human-centric approach at its very core.
On the Japanese Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi not attending the meeting, the Foreign Secretary said India and Japan have enjoyed sterling cooperation when it comes to discussions and deliberations within the G20, adding that India greatly values Japan's participation. He said that while the Japanese Foreign Minister will not be able to come because of his domestic compulsions, India is looking forward to a very active participation and support in consultation with the Japanese delegation that is coming. On whether Dr. Jaishankar will meet his Chinese counterpart Qin Gang, the Foreign Secretary said that the External Affairs Minister has already started meeting many of his counterparts since yesterday. He said the minister will try to meet as many counterparts as possible. Replying to a query, the Foreign Secretary said that given developing situation of Russia-Ukraine, it will naturally be an important point of discussion during Foreign Ministers' meet. He added that issues of the impact of the Russia-Ukraine conflict on the world, including economic impact and impact on development, will also be focused upon in the meeting. Our correspondent reports that it is one of the largest gatherings of foreign ministers hosted by any G20 presidency.
A gala dinner is being hosted this evening for the visiting dignitaries. Foreign ministers of participating nations including Brazil, Mauritius, Turkey, Australia, Nigeria, Mexico have arrived in New Delhi to participate in the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting. During the event tomorrow, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will chair two sessions. The first session will focus on multilateralism and issues related to food and energy. The second session will focus on new and emerging threats including counter-terrorism and narcotics, global skill mapping and focus on global talent pools. Suparna Saikya, AIR News, Delhi.
Union Minister Jitendra Singh stressed on the requirement of multilateral action rather than bilateral coordination for streamlining the judicial processes and timely disposal of cases. He was addressing the G20 meeting of the Anti-Corruption Working Group in Gurugram this morning. Mr. Singh said bilateral coordination proves to be more complex and presents obstacles in making progress in cases related to foreign economic offenders and the recovery of the related assets. Mr. Singh asserted that India is strengthening the mechanisms for speedy confiscation of the proceeds of crime, both at home and abroad, will force the offenders to return to the home country. Mr. Singh added that his government had brought a fugitive economic offender law in 2018, which was a major breakthrough to tackle the corrupt practices.
Under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, put in place a specialized legislation a few years back in the form of Fugitive Economic Offenders Act 2018. The term wherein the fugitive economic offender is defined as an individual against whom a warrant of arrest in relation to scheduled offence has been issued by any court in India and who has left the country so as to avoid criminal prosecution, or the offender abroad refuses to return to face the criminal prosecution back home.
Ready to host the G20 Business Conference at Aizawl tomorrow. Union Minister of State for Commerce and Industries Som Prakash and Minister of State for External Affairs Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan Singh will grace the summit. Chief Minister Zoram Thanga briefed the media on the conference. He said about 48 business delegates and 17 diplomats from 17 countries including the US, Germany, China, France and Japan are likely to participate in the business meeting. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
All India Radio brings to you People's Mandate from the northeastern states of Nagaland, Tripura and Meghalaya. Special live discussions and ground reports, accurate updates on election results and in-depth analysis by eminent experts. Stay tuned to FM Gold for exclusive minute-to-minute live updates on 2nd March from 10 a.m. onwards.
In Nagaland, Meghalaya and Tripura, all arrangements have been made for counting of votes for assembly elections tomorrow. In Meghalaya, the counting will be held at 13 counting centres across 12 districts and also at one subdivision in the state. An elaborate 3-tier security arrangement has been made for the counting at all centres. Talking to AIR Chief Electoral Officer Meghalaya, F.R. Kharkongar, informed about the counting preparations for tomorrow.
काउंटिंग 8 बजे से शुरू होगा। हमारे यहाँ पर 13 काउंटिंग सेंटर्स है, 12 तो सब डिस्ट्रिक्ट कैपिटल में है और एक सब डिवीजन हेडक्वार्टर्स में है। फोर्सेस का भी पूरा तैनात है यहाँ पर। 22 कंपनी रिटेन किया है बीएसएफ और सीआरपीएफ के। 13 काउंटिंग सेंटर्स में ये फोर्सेस तैनात है। लगभग काउंटिंग करीब 2 बजे के अंदर पूरे काउंटिंग प्रोसेस समाप्त होंगे। पहले पोस्टल बैलेट का काउंटिंग होगा और उसके बाद जो हमारे ईवीएम का काउंटिंग आरंभ हो जाएंगे। ये पोस्टल बैलेट से शुरू होंगे और आधे घंटे के बाद ईवीएम काउंटिंग का प्रोसेस जारी होगा। हमारे सब डिस्ट्रिक्ट इलेक्शन ऑफिसर्स और सब काउंटिंग सेंटर्स पूरी तैयारी में है और फुली इक्विप्ड है ये काउंटिंग प्रोसेस को सक्सेसफुली कंप्लीट करने के लिए।
85.25% voters cast a vote on last Monday in the state. Our correspondent reports that Chief Minister Conrad Sangma of NPP has been seeking re-election from South Tura, while former Chief Minister Mukul Sangma of Trinamool Congress is seeking election from 2 constituencies. Our Kohima correspondent has filed this report.
The Election Commission has deputed 36 additional counting observers besides general observers to monitor the entire counting process in Nagaland. A total of 16 counting centers have been set up for tomorrow. 3-tier security measures have been put in place in and around the counting centers. EVMs are being kept under CCTV surveillance. Tomorrow, strong room will be open and EVMs will be taken to the counting center in the presence of contesting candidates, returning officer and observer, and the entire process will be done under CCTV monitoring. The votes will be counted in different allotted tables according to the assembly constituency-wise segments. With Asanu, Manas Pratim Sharma, AR News, Kohima.
In Tripura, the counting of votes will be held at 21 centers meant for 60 assembly constituencies. The Election Commission has appointed 60 observers to oversee counting and routinely report it. A total of 259 candidates, including 58 independents and 7 others from unrecognized parties, are in the fray. The polling in the state was held on the 16th of February. In Madhya Pradesh, the BJP government led by Shivraj Singh Chauhan today presented a green budget of 3,14,025 crore rupees. This is the last budget of the current tenure of the government. There is no provision for any new tax in the budget, and stamp duty has also been cut in many categories. A provision of 1,02,976 crore rupees has been made for the welfare of women. In the budget, the government has announced to start Mukhyamantri Balika Scooty Yojana for the meritorious girls of the state. Another new scheme has been announced in the budget named Ladli Behna. The budget session of the Chhattisgarh State Legislative Assembly began today with the address of Governor Vishwa Bhushan Harichandan. The Chief Minister will present the budget for the upcoming financial year on 6th of March. In Greece, at least 36 people were killed and 85 injured after 2 trains collided head-on in north of Athens. The collision was so strong that the first 4 carriages of the passenger train had derailed, while the first 2 carriages were almost completely destroyed. The fire brigade spokesperson told media that evacuation of passengers is underway in very difficult conditions, given the severity of the collision of the 2 trains. Governor Konstantinos Agorastos of the Thessaly said about 250 passengers were evacuated safely. In Sri Lanka, the Colombo specific inflation declined to 50.6% for February 2023. The inflation was 51.7% in January 2023. The index for calculating inflation in Colombo has also been revised to 2021 rates. Inflation in Sri Lanka has started to rise steeply from around September 2021. In cricket, Australia was 70-1 against India in the 3rd test at Indore when reports last came in. Earlier, India were all out for 109 runs in 33.2 overs. Australian spinners trio C. Alex Carey and B.M. Kunemman and B. Lyon ripped through India's fragile batting lineup. Entire Indian batting lineup got out by executing ill-advised shots. Matt Kunemman completed a FIFA. He found great support from senior spinner Nathan Lyon, who picked 3 wickets. Virat Kohli finished as the highest scorer, managing 22, before being trapped LBW by Todd Murphy. India won the toss and opted to bat first, but the move backfired as the hosts lost 7 wickets in the opening session. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says development of new cities and modernization of existing ones, 2 most important aspects of urban development. India to host one of the largest G20 foreign ministers meet under his presidency in New Delhi. G20 meeting of Anti-Corruption Working Group begins in Gurugram. India says multilateral action required more than bilateral coordination for timely disposal of cases. 36 killed and 7 injured in a head-on train collision near Athens in Greece. And in cricket, Indian batting collapses under Australian spinning on day 1 of the third test at Indore. And with that we end the midday news.